In this episode, we're going to talk about whether or not you should rent or own your home.
Welcome. Thanks for tuning in today's episode. We're talking about a question that we're getting more and more often, especially with people who are approaching retirement and thinking about selling their home. And that's really the question. Yeah. Should I be selling my home? Should I be buying? Should I be renting? What are we going to do here?
Yeah, I think this is a question that everybody should ask at some point. I mean, and it's completely subjective. We know that, but it's at different points of your life. There may be a better idea to own. It may be a better idea to rent, and so we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of each, and give you some insight on what we think about it.
Grant, to kick things off, why don't we get into some of the benefits and advantages of renting?
Yeah, this is probably the most misunderstood option and the most misunderstood advantages because most people, especially here in Winnipeg, have grown up thinking that you have to own, and that's the best thing you could possibly do, and there's no question about it. And the reality is there's a lot of advantages that renters have, not the least of which is cost. In many cases, people that own their house are paying a huge amount of money in maintenance of that home, especially as the home ages.
Yeah.
And so renting in many cases can be quite a bit cheaper on a year-over-year basis. I mean, of course, maintenance can vary from year to year, but like on average, when you look at over a longer term period of time, renting can be quite inexpensive for a lot of people. So cost can be quite a bit cheaper. Freedom is also really important.
Mm-hmm. If you're a traveler and you like to get up and go.
Totally. I mean, a lot of our clients, especially in retirement, are looking to travel more, or are traveling more already. And so the ease of being able to lock your door and walk away is fantastic. I mean, not only from a safety perspective for the home itself, but for just your own peace of mind, it's quite a bit easier. So having that freedom available to you is a great advantage.
For aging clients or clients with health issues, renting in apartments can have a lot of designs that are actually for people that are
absolutely
have health issues. So things like elevators, wheelchair access, handrails.
Absolutely. I mean, these buildings are specifically designed in many cases for people who are in that stage of life, and so I mean it's custom designed basically for people in those demographics, and so you can find a perfect apartment building or even a perfect kind of like a townhouse or side by side which you can rent. And they're designed for people in those situations, and so again, it's something that a lot of people slough off as not even an option. I think it's something they should look at, but in reality, it's something that probably everybody should evaluate at a certain point of their life, for many various reasons, but not the least of which, like I said, is that it might be the right financial decision as well.
Renting obviously comes with some disadvantages as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple disadvantages, of course, as with anything. The main one is you give up control of the property. You don't own it, so that has a limiting factor on what you can do with the property, or whether or not you have any control over anything. It could be. It just depends on where you're renting from, right? But so obviously there's a control concern there. If you're a control freak, you need to have control of like how everything is done. It might not be the best option for you in that case.
Hopefully you don't have issues, but sometimes maintenance can take a lot. Like if there's something that needs to be fixed, you're relying on the owner of the building, apartment, home.
Yeah, and it may even impact your lifestyle, right? Because I mean, if you're not able to have the same pets that you had before, like you're used to having big dogs. Not a lot of places allow big dogs, so you might have to not have that Rottweiler or something, some other animal, and so you just have to take that in consideration and make sure that if you are going to rent, that the place you're renting fits the lifestyle that you want to lead, because there are going to be some limiting factors there.
Owning your home. This could be, staying in the home that you're already in, or maybe purchasing another home. Mm-hmm. Some advantages to obviously look at there.
Yeah, and again, I just go back to the disadvantages of renting. Well, the obvious opposite side of it, you get control over the house, and a lot of people do still like that. So you get control over the property, and it can be exactly how you want it to be, depending on how much money you want to put into it, obviously. So that's definitely one of it. You can continue to live the same lifestyle that you're currently living. You also get the advantage of the equity component to it. So if the prices of houses are appreciating in value, you're going to take advantage of that where a renter wouldn't. And so, I mean, that's a slippery slope on that one in my mind, because a lot of people overestimate how much housing prices are going to increase, especially in places like Winnipeg, where historically speaking, house prices just increase with inflation. So you're looking at about a 2% per year average increase over time. I know more recently in the last couple decades it's been higher than that, but if you look at historical norms, it's probably going to come back to around 2%. If you're in some of the more aggressive markets like the Torontos and Vancouvers, yeah, you might see bigger price appreciation there. And so, that would be certainly an advantage of owning. You can participate in that, but if you're a renter, you won't. So there's certain advantages of that. I mean, in certain cases too, we've come across in really low interest rate periods. It was actually cheaper to own than it was to rent, just because the mortgage prices were way cheaper. And so that's not so much the case anymore with interest rates coming back up. But there are certain periods of time where that could be a possibility as well. And so from a financial standpoint, there could be an argument for cash flow in some of those cases, but all things considered, renting is generally going to be cheaper in the long run. So,
just like renting that had its advantages and its disadvantages, same with owning. Talk a little bit about some of the disadvantages here.
Yeah, I would go back to some of the advantages of renting on this, because one of the main things is the maintenance cost. So as your home gets older, maintenance costs tend to increase, right? So the cost can be a disadvantage of owning for sure. The other thing is most people have quite a bit of capital locked up in their house, and they don't take advantage of that. And so, if your house is worth $500,000 and let's say you don't own anything anymore, you have a $500,000 asset that might be kind of sitting idle essentially. And so you're not taking advantage of the potential of that capital. What a lot of our clients are doing, once we determine that renting is potentially a better option for them, and they make that decision, what they're doing is selling their house, taking the cash from the house, investing it, and actually that capital is producing enough to pay for their rent, and they also have access to all of this capital now if they were to need it in an emergency or even enhance their lifestyle. So the disadvantage in that case is that if you have all this capital locked up in a house that you're not using, you could be enhancing your life in other areas. So there's just things to look at, and as with anything, but there's things to look at with owning that you may be able to live a better life if you didn't own the house.
Well, with that, we can close it off. I think with this, the general message is it really is specific to your situation.
100%. I mean, some people will never feel comfortable renting, and some people are perfectly okay renting for their entire lives. I just met with somebody this past week that they have no interest in ever owning, because they understand that they think that owning will cost them more money in the long run. And it's totally a comfort thing. There's a financial decision to be made, and then there's a comfort decision. And
a lifestyle decision. We talked about
totally.
Being able to decorate and change your home the way you want it, have the pets that you want.
Yeah.
That you give up a little bit of that when you are renting. So a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit of situation, look at the numbers, but again, super specific to individual situations.
The point is evaluate your options, and don't be closed-minded to the idea of renting. I find more people are closed-minded than they are open to it, but it's worthwhile taking a look, because it certainly has its advantages.
Perfect.
So with that, let's close things off.
Yeah, you can check us out at our website, www.whitehoustonwealth.com. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at whitehoustonwealth@nbc.ca. Always happy to answer questions, feedback, anything. Shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for watching. Ready?
Aim.
Fire.